yeah, I was gonna ask you, man, what are your thoughts on Avery Williamson, man?
I'm good with it.
You like it?
I'm good with it. I would have loved Deion Jones, you know that.
Okay.
But we gave up a 5th-round pick, Avery Williamson. I did what everyone else is doing. They're going online, checking his stats, trying to check some highlights out. What do the Jets fans think of him? Whatever it is. Yeah. And it seems like he's solid all around. He's been a starter basically ever since he's got into the league. So he's had over 100 tackles, I think, 3 seasons. Obviously, toward the ACL in 2019. That's not the best thing, but this year he's got 59 tackles in I don't know how many games. He's missed a game.
Yeah,
so.
but he had played 95% of the snaps on defense, and then prior to turning the ACL in 2018, he was playing 99% of the snaps, which is huge because when you talk about that lets you know that's a 3-down linebacker. It lets you know it's a guy that's playing in all situations and scenarios. When you see, obviously we talked about Vince last year, right? Where it was like, well, he only played 30% of the defensive snaps. You know that's very package based, so you have to figure out what the limitations are, how do you expand it, and things on that nature. Whereas with Avery, you're not going to have as much of that. But the biggest thing with Avery right now is just how long is it going to take him to get up to speed? It's a little bit different than Minka because obviously with Minka, it was more so just a coverage element. He didn't have to worry about run gaps and communication. It was more so, all right, if a ball hits, all right, I'm the cleanup guy. But if you are a corner or safety, you know cover 1, cover 2, cover 3, cover 4, 5, and 6. Just what's the verbiage? What do you call it? Are there any one-offs that you do? So that's why I think he was able to get out there and play a lot faster and have impact a lot faster. Avery, he's going to not only have to learn the coverage, he's going to have to learn the fronts in terms of, all right, is this a tight front? Is it an eagle front? Are they under? Are they over? All right. What's the technique that you're playing when they're taking on blockers? Are they going underneath a block? Are they trying to hammer it, meaning stop the guy's momentum? Are they trying to just take it on more down the middle of the guy? As an off-ball linebacker, you have to know all of that so you can play fast and just ultimately do your job, not have to worry about, all right, how did he take that on? Because if you're doing all of that thinking and second guessing and waiting and watching, you're going to be late to wherever the ball is. And ultimately that's not going to be good. So I think that's the biggest thing with him. I don't anticipate him playing this week, honestly, because he has the 5-day. He has to have. I think it's 5 days of negative.
We didn't bring him in to play this week. I think it was more or less for depth. Yeah. You know.
So that's the big thing right there, man. Once the earliest he'll be able to actually practice though is Friday. That's what I'm saying that because I know. Typically in normal years, man, you see a trade and you're like, oh, I can't wait to see this guy out there. And people remember Yannick Ngakoue, he got traded and he got to play. The difference was they were on a bye week. So that's why you see him the first game back. Whereas in this scenario, he more than likely won't play this weekend just because of the protocols from COVID and just not having a lot of time to practice before he goes out there. But I do think when he does get through all that and he has a full week of practice, I do anticipate him playing some of the sub ball stuff initially that you saw Ulysses Gilbert playing before he got hurt, that you saw Marcus Allen play. And then from there, as he grows and gets more comfortable and has a better understanding, I think we will see his role grow a lot more. But I think early on, man, it's going to be very specific in terms of how they use him.
When you say role, you think it will just be a rotation of the 3 linebackers? Maybe it'll be him and Spillane in at the same time.
It could be a mix. I don't think we're going to know that until he plays and we see how he progresses. Obviously, you're hoping that Spillane continues on this trajectory. I don't think any of us could have predicted this, not even him in that regard. So that's another element where it's not as cut and dry.
You don't want to take him off the field if he's balling out.
No. I get that element of it, but we have seen the Steelers do that at times as well. So that's my only thing. It's not as cut and dry as because if this is Devin Bush we're talking about, it's not a debate, right? You know Devin's going to be out there. Right now, that's not the case when you're talking about Vincent Spillane. Neither one of those guys are the clear cut, oh, that's our franchise linebacker right now. So when we're talking about Avery's role expanding, if Avery plays well and these guys are still, and obviously, like I said, with Spillane, we all agree that, hey, he is playing out of his mind right now. But if that doesn't continue in terms of it just taking a step to just being average or okay, and Avery is doing some things that are crazy and practice is looking good, that role is going to expand. That's what we're getting to in that regard. And that doesn't just apply for Spillane. It could go for Vince as well. The only reason I don't put
whoever's playing the best place, yeah.
And that element of it, but I just it's more that goes into it sometimes than just, all right, who's playing the best. That's the only thing I'm alluding to right there.
For sure. Yeah, dude, seems like a solid player, solid starter. We only traded a 5th-round pick. I was reading, I mean, you might actually have more info or just intel on him because he's with the Jets. You probably watched some Bills games. They were saying he's a really good run stopper, but is so-so in coverage.
The thing is
is that accurate or off?
This is the thing. In terms of evaluating him in coverage, number one with Greg Williams, because that's the DC down in New York with the Jets. They play a lot of zone coverage, 4s and 6s, right? And it's not even like in Pittsburgh, we play more matchup zone, right? So even though it's zone, it's really man.
Okay.
It's just how we dress it, but you're playing man pretty much the whole time. Whereas other places, when they play cover 4, they're going to be playing just like a zone, like a traditional zone look. That's what they asked him to do. But then also you have to remember this. We talked about how when you have the front that the Steelers have, it's a lot easier to cover, right? That ball's coming out right now. You don't have to worry about double moves. TJ, Bud rushing to it, Cam. You think that quarterback has time to pump, look right, look left, and do all this other stuff? Nah. So that is going to help him out a ton. Whereas in New York, he didn't have that type of front. He didn't have those type of DBs out there with him. Just as a whole, that defense wasn't very good. So now you're putting him in a way better situation. I fully anticipate his coverage being a lot better. I mean, we talk about Vincent Spillane this year, right, in terms of their coverage and how obviously Spillane these 2 weeks have looked good.
Well, yeah, we haven't noticed like anything that's drastic.
But this is the thing. This is the thing. I'm like, the situation is great in terms of having that rush. You put them on that Jets roster and ask them to cover how they're covering right now, it's going to look drastically different. So that's the only thing in terms of when people talk about his coverage right now. You got to wait and see how it's going to look when he actually has talent around him and a legit pass rush around him, man. We know a pass rush can make your corners look great at time, can make your linebackers look great at time. Now he's going to get that. So he's going to get his fair share in that regard.
Cool. Maybe unlock some potential here.
Absolutely, man. Trust me, no one thought Spillane could cover, right? And even, like I said, with some of his shortcomings, when the rush is rushing how they're doing, man, or even when some of the safeties are helping the way they're helping, you get through it, man. You make it work.
Well, and here's what happens too. Whenever you see Vince, I think there was a touchdown on him yesterday, and even Spillane, if it's a receiver, you're kind of like, all right, that should have happened. No, like, are you really knocking the linebacker that much?
It's just different. Like from your perspective, without a doubt, you're 100% right. As the players, our mindset is you don't want to get beat anyway.
Okay.
And I thought Vince did a good job because it was, once again, man coverage, right? You run into that. Mika did a good job of showing body position on the inside, right? So initially when the route, because it was an outbreaking route to the corner pylon, 7 cut, right? So initially Vince has outside leverage. Mika shows inside, so makes him have to break out. My biggest thing with Vince would be, bro, if you know you have help inside, what do you do on a 7 cut? You slice the 7. You play heavy on that. Use your leverage. Use your help. He played it more straight up than using his help. That would be the biggest thing. And that's why for me, like where you say, man, you know,
there was something you could have done.
Right. If I'm Coach Butler and I'm coaching Vince, I'm saying, bro, Minka is right here at 10 yards depth, inside leverage. Lamar sees him. That's why he wanted to throw it early, but he couldn't because Minka is sitting there. Bro, break now because there is no in-breaking route that you're worried about. You're only worried about the out-breaking routes. You don't have to worry about a stop right where he runs 10 yards and stop because why? Minka's on your inside. Minka can break to that. You don't have to worry about a deep end because Minka is right there. The only thing that can hurt you is a fade ball, a 7 cut, an out-breaking route. So I'm going to play that route. That would be the biggest thing that I would say in that regard. Other than that, I don't look at it as a mismatch because it's a receiver. I'm looking at it like, all right, if you get your hands on him, great. If not, you could play off, but you know where you have your hope at. Play to where your hope is. And that's the biggest thing with that, man.
Okay, gotcha.
And that's why, like, even when we said with Spillane on Willie Snead, I didn't mind the completion. The issue was, bro, you let him cross your face twice to beat you to your leverage. Initially, you stopped him. Initially, when Snead ran inside, Spillane cuts him off. And Spillane did a great job of that. And then Snead breaks out. Then he comes back out. And then when he comes back across, that's when he beats him. It's like, bro, don't try to beat him out there because that you got help out there. You can't get beat across your face. Don't lose to your leverage side. Coach Tomlin talks about that ad nauseum, which is why I'm always talking about don't get beat to your leverage. It would
you like that word, nuts, leverage.
I like it now, but I used to hate it when you're playing because under him, anytime in practice, man, even if the guy doesn't even throw him the ball, if a guy crosses your face to the leverage side, he's losing it. Bro, you can't get beat to your leverage because that's the weakness. And on the flip side, on offense, he's telling those guys, when of the receivers they had, you better win to that guy's leverage side. There is no excuse. If that guy's playing heavy outside, you better hit him with a move, head fake, and win out there because that's where we want to get the ball.
Lose.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So as a defense,
someone's
like,
getting yelled at.
Yeah, you're like, bro, I absolutely hate this though because it's all you talked about. Your leverage. And that's why when you saw those two particular plays, you understand the importance of your leverage.